Ciao Fabri, welcome back in
Ciao
our
guys.
podcast. Today is a big day because there is the Copa del Rey final between Real Madrid, FC Barcelona. It's a big game, of course. So, what's the feeling of the two clubs? Of course, I feel there is a very different situation right now.
Yeah, it's quite different as you mentioned because obviously for Barcelona there is big excitement still in the running for every single title this season after winning the Super Cup against Real Madrid. So there is excitement at Barcelona to try and make it happen. It's not a great moment for Real Madrid after what happened in the Champions League against Arsenal, of course, but still the desire internally in the dressing room to react, to show how Real Madrid are always there when it's time to win titles, when it's time to win big games, and also when it's time maybe to silence some critics. So different approach to this final, different moment for the two clubs, but a special game. Of course, there is a trophy, there is Real Madrid, Barcelona, so it's a Classico with a trophy, and I think it's going to be a massive one, so really can't wait.
Talking about Real Madrid, which is probably the most interesting one towards the summer 2025, what's the feeling around Carlo Ancelotti? How important is this game for this future?
It can be an important game in terms also of timing for the future of Carlo Ancelotti, because we keep mentioning that's not news for those who follow us here on Men in Blazers, how Carlo Ancelotti has a concrete, strong possibility of leaving Real Madrid. I keep repeating that in the recent weeks, and that's the case. Apart from this final, I think the idea at Real Madrid is already quite clear about maybe change the manager at the end of the season. I say maybe because at the moment it's still not formally confirmed, not formally decided. But of course, this final can change the timing in the sense of accelerating this process in case Real Madrid lose the final against Barcelona, or maybe keeping Carlo Ancelotti's future alive in case he can maybe win the Copa del Rey, win La Liga with a remontada against Barça. That could be kind of epic for Real Madrid in this case, and so maybe try to save the future of Carlo Ancelotti. But what I'm hearing is still that Real Madrid are in the process to prepare the future, in the process to change the coach, that the Brazilian Federation is in Madrid with their people to push with Carlo Ancelotti, to offer him an important contract, to have him as soon as possible. Because remember, the Brazilian Federation wants Ancelotti now, I mean, close to the end of the season, not at the end of the club's World Cup, not in July, not in August, not in September. For Brazil, it's Ancelotti in June, or the deal doesn't happen. So the timing is a really important point, and this final could be absolutely part of this process.
In case of the departure of Ancelotti, would you still confirm Xabi Alonso as the top candidate for Real Madrid?
Absolutely. That's what we've been saying for weeks, for months now. And he remains the absolute favorite candidate of Florentino Perez. Against this relationship between Xabi Alonso and Florentino is a really important point of the story. Then, if Real Madrid decide to proceed officially for Xabi Alonso, we will tell all the Real Madrid fans what's behind us, this special relationship between Florentino and Xabi, because Florentino really loves Xabi Alonso, considers Xabi Alonso not just a special coach, a top coach, but also was a top player, but also a top guy. The style of Xabi Alonso as a person is a really important point also in this conversation. And then remember what we always say, and is now confirmed officially by those at Bayer Leverkusen. I've been telling you many times that Bayer Leverkusen will not stand in Xabi Alonso's way in case he decides to go to Real Madrid, and Xabi Alonso is ready. Xabi Alonso wants to go to Real Madrid. So now it depends on when and how Real Madrid will decide to act, but Xabi Alonso knows that Bayer Leverkusen will not create any problem. Bayer Leverkusen accepted with a gentleman agreement this possibility already 1 year ago when Xabi Alonso had the chance to go to Bayer, decided to stay, to sign a new contract, but with this gentleman agreement to go eventually to Real Madrid, there will be a compensation fee. I'm told that it's going to be higher than the reported 8 million euros, but for sure, Xabi Alonso remains a super strong candidate, the number 1, 2, and 3 for Real Madrid job.
On the other side, FC Barcelona, everyone is really happy and very positive about the first season of Hansi Flick, and he's already in talks to sign a new deal.
Yeah, there are conversations ongoing between the agents of Hansi Flick himself, of course, who is constantly in talks with Juan Laporta, the president, with Deco, the director, so they are all together in the right direction, and they want to prepare this new contract. Then I think Hansi Flick is having a really special attitude in this case. He's not pushing for this new deal. He's not desperate to have this new deal. He's really relaxed, fully focused on the results, on winning trophies. He knows how important he already won a treble. So how important it is to be really focused till the final minute of every single game now, not to focus on the contract. So his agents are taking care of that. Barcelona are very happy with Hansi Flick, obviously, after a fantastic season so far. But it's really important also to understand the timing. So it's not something probably that is going to happen in these days. It's going to take some time, but the intention of all parties involved is to sign one more year of contract, so till 2027, to extend for one more season. And my understanding is that there are very good chances to make it happen soon.
Talking about the summer transfer business, what's the idea of Barcelona? What's the priority of Barcelona for the summer?
Yeah, I think it will depend once again, as usual in the recent years, about financial fair play. So how much can really Barca spend and invest in the summer transfer window? That's going to be an important point to understand how many targets they will have. For sure, a position they want to cover, I want to repeat that, is the right back. Because obviously they have Jules Koundé, who was till a few days ago on an incredible streak. I think its strike was something like 104 consecutive games for Barcelona and the French national team. But Koundé also needs a backup. A backup is needed in modern football when you play more than 50 games per season. So Barcelona are looking for a right back in the market. They have several options under discussion at the club. Then again, it will depend also on the budget. But I see Barca signing a right back. And then for the other positions, we will see what kind of budget they will have.
What about the deal for Jonathan Tah? Is it already done or not?
No, it's not done yet. We had reports a few months ago of a done deal, but what I'm hearing is that Jonathan Tah is an option for Barcelona. Jonathan Tah is a player really appreciated by Hansi Flick. They are also represented by the same agent. Jonathan Tah is leaving Bayer Leverkusen on a free, and so it's a big opportunity for several clubs. For Barca, the deal was considered quite close when they had the feeling that maybe Ronald Araujo in January was going to join Juventus. And so Barca needed one more defender, but then Araujo extended his contract. And so you have Araujo, you have Eric Garcia, who is doing very well. And also him in January was close to joining Como. Then the deal collapsed. Now you have Inigo, new contract. Eric Garcia doing very well. Araujo with a new contract. Pau Cubarsí, present and future of Barcelona. So they have to decide what they want to do with Jonathan Tah. For sure, remains an option. But what I'm hearing is there is interest also from several other clubs in England, in Italy, and so it's still an open race.
For Real Madrid, it's important now to clarify about Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is one of your exclusive stories of the last weeks. There were some reports about him and his future. You want to clarify something on the matter?
Yeah, because I understand also the feeling of Liverpool fans. Of course, when you see Trent scoring a goal, celebrating, understanding is that Trent Alexander-Arnold will still be joining Real Madrid. Again, let's wait for the formal steps, because with free agents, we know anything can happen in any minute. But the expectation of all parties involved is still for Trent to be a Real Madrid player, to join them on a free, to sign a 5-year contract, everything that we've been reporting in the last months about Real Madrid and Trent. What's also important to say, I think, for Liverpool fans, and it's nice to see, is how Trent is playing, scoring a goal, showing his commitment till the very end is something that also leaders at Liverpool like Virgil van Dijk, the captain, Arne Slot, the coach, have been saying for days how special is the commitment of Trent Alexander-Arnold, always and always. Then he's speaking with facts, because scoring a beautiful goal for Liverpool, ready to become Premier League champions. And so that's, I think, a nice point for Trent. But in terms of future, the understanding is always the same. Trent is expected to be a Real Madrid player.
What about Zubimendi? Can he be a target for Real Madrid?
Look, he can be a player really appreciated by Xabi Alonso, so let's wait for this Xabi Alonso story, because he's a player Xabi Alonso loves. So what I can tell you is that 1 year ago, when Xabi Alonso was an option for Bayern, in the original idea, there was at Bayern to do Xabi Alonso and Zubimendi together as part of the project. Then Xabi Alonso decided to stay at Bayer Leverkusen. Now for Real Madrid, the player is super appreciated by Xabi Alonso. Super, super appreciated. He considers Zubimendi as a really special midfielder. But it's important to say, Arsenal are already in very, very advanced talks to sign Martin Zubimendi in the summer transfer window. Arsenal are very advanced stages, had very positive conversations on player side. They are prepared to pay the money to Real Sociedad in terms of release clause. So Arsenal have this deal at a very advanced stage, and so looks difficult now to change this story. But we know in football anything can happen, and so let's follow these steps. But let me confirm once again how confident are Arsenal.
A lot of contradicting reports on Huijsen for the next summer and who can sign him in next summer. What's the situation for him and Real Madrid?
Yeah, I want to use an Italian and a Spanish word for the Poison story, and this calma, because every single day, every single
Ancelotti's
minute.
word as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because now, you open social media and every 5 minutes there is eyes close to joining this club, the other, and all the rest. First of all, let's remind people how is the time schedule of this story. In January, we say that he had a release clause. In February, we broke the exclusive story on the value of the release clause, 50 million pounds, and it's a really important part of the story because it means that Huijsen can decide his future any moment, and then the club would be ready to pay the clause. So paying the release clause is not going to be a problem. Now, what happens for Huijsen? This desire on player side of being a Real Madrid player is something absolutely correct, that we said several times. He would love to join Real Madrid one day, but at the moment, Real Madrid have still not decided whether they will sign a centre-back, how much they want to spend. So it's a slow process at Real Madrid for the centre-back. It's not an aggressive process in terms of advancing in talks, pushing. They want to sign the player immediately. They like the player, but at the moment they are busy with Ancelotti, with Xabi Alonso, with all the rest. So it's still end of April for Real Madrid. For other clubs, including the Premier League clubs, especially for the Premier League clubs, is already summer transfer window. We saw that with Cunha, we saw that with many other stories. So what they want to do in Premier League is to be fast, is to pay the clause as soon as possible, and this is why the Premier League clubs are the big favorites to land Dean Huijsen this summer. Chelsea will be there, Liverpool will be there, Arsenal. Don't underestimate Arsenal in this story, because all these three clubs want a player with different strategies. At Liverpool, there is Kansa who could leave the club. There is the negotiation already ongoing for Konate to extend the contract. Let's see what happens there. At Chelsea, there is an excellent relationship with those close to Dean Huijsen. At Arsenal, there is Mikel Arteta pushing a lot to have the player and this Spanish connection. So all these three clubs are pushing. For Newcastle and Tottenham, looks unlikely. Bayern keep calling, but Bayern are quite slow because they need to sell one player in order to bring in a new one. And so you can understand that this is why the Premier League clubs are favorite. And so for me, it's going to be between Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal. A difficult one for Real Madrid today. We will see in the future.
So let's finish this episode with, we have a classic on the pitch, but we also might have a classic off the pitch in the transfer world. Who is a player who can be a target for both Real Madrid and Barcelona?
Look, there was one till a few weeks ago and officially still available, but according to my information is no longer available because the deal is verbally agreed and will be announced soon. And this is Antoñito Cordero. He's a Spanish winger playing for Malaga, considered one of the best talents in Spain, a player that both Real Madrid and Barcelona wanted with different strategies, maybe to send him on loan, maybe to have him as part of the academy. So both Barca and Real Madrid had meetings to sign Antoñito Cordero out of contract at Malaga, so an opportunity on the free, but Cordero is going to Newcastle. The deal is 100% confirmed, is agreed. He already completed all the agreements with Newcastle. He will probably go on loan, so not staying in Newcastle for the first season, go on loan and then be part of the Newcastle project for the future. Both Real Madrid and Barca wanted the player. He's not staying in Spain. He's going to Premier League. And then we will see what happens in the summer transfer window, because I think it's going to be busy for Real and Barca.
Thank you, Fabri, for today. Let's enjoy the Classico, Copa del Rey final, and let's talk next week.
Ciao, thank you.